このままだったら味の素の除去はやばい。CJ 魚座に何の秘密があるのか。見た目は悪くない。何？この完璧な柔らかさ、一体なんていうものかい。素晴らしい。
You wonder how we succeed? This is our secret.
I'm gonna start with customer analysis. Among the 7 types of potential customers of PBGO, there are 2 domestic target customers and 2 global target customers. In the domestic market, PBGO should target economical MZ generations and Gen X who puts importance on the brand's premium image. For the global market, PBGO's target customers are those who seek a healthy image and those who love Korean content. Within this consumer analysis, I've made perceptual maps using our target customers' perceived value of PBGO and its competitors. In the domestic market, we can see that competitors are also targeting economical MZ customers. The difference comes from brand seekers since they prefer the premium image of PBGO. In the global market, competitors and PBGO both target customers who pursue a healthy image. However, when it comes to K-content lovers, there comes a difference. Since they're familiar with Korean culture, we can say that they are PBGO's own targets. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the product line decisions. The dumpling market has faced the maturity stage in the product life cycle. In the maturity stage, there are lots of products from a number of companies that make consumers feel the products are undifferentiated. So it is required to make some efforts to slow down the decline stage to come. For PBGO to deal with this problem, we can suggest some product line strategies that will help PBGO further strengthen its number 1 position. First, within the product line extension, our team suggests gluten-free dumplings. A lower carbohydrate dumpling will satisfy the needs of MZ customers and well-being seekers. Second, across product line extensions, our team suggests dumplings with Korean sauce. The types of sauce were determined by referring to the menu that feels like a restaurant, and they're made up of healthy ingredients. By using the decisions, the customer needs of MZ customers, brand seekers, and well-being seekers can be fully reflected, and PBGO can maintain its position.
Okay, let's look at the financial part. Our team will evaluate whether CJ's investment of 1 trillion won is proper or not. Before we deep dive into it, let's look at the current status of CJ Jeongeda. CJ's current debt-equity ratio is 1.98, which is pretty high compared to peer companies. Its weighted average cost of capital is 4.14%. CJ needs 1 trillion won for investment, and it should be done by capital increase. To find out effect of capital increase towards stock price and debt-equity ratio, historical record is considered. If CJ issue about amount of 20% of current number of stocks outstanding, it can finance 1 trillion won. The detailed effect of capital increase is explained in our report. Now, let's see how should CJ invest 1 trillion won. To develop a detailed project suggestion and evaluation, suggesting specific construction sites for newly expanded facilities is required. If only market size and growth are considered, it will be a good suggestion to build a new facility in United States, China, or South Asian countries. However, CJ is dealing with the growing demand proactively and aggressively in those markets. Furthermore, according to CJ's recent business report, utilization rate of CJ's facilities in food industry is 82%, and its maximum capacity will increase this year as well, because facilities in China will be activated this June. Thus, it will be more rational to invest in other markets than United States, China, or Korea. We suggest 2 countries as the outpost for this project, Turkey and Brazil. First, Turkey is in the middle of Eurasian continent, and accessibility to Europe, Middle East, Africa, Central Asia is very high. This means not only potential market accessibility is high, but also transportation cost can be lowered. Secondly, Brazil is one of the countries that produces most percent of raw food resources like beef, chicken, soybean, and so on. In common, these countries' average labor cost is relatively low, which will be helpful for a cost reduction. We expect net present value of this project is high enough to accept. However, this project evaluation is not highly reliable for several reasons. First, there are too many assumptions and may incur bullwhip effect. Forecasting failure of each stage of assumptions will incur more and more deviation of calculation of following stages. Secondly, its payback period is near the end of the project and mostly depend on the recovery of net working capital. This means it will be unstable and risky to invest huge amount of capital. However, there is also a way to decrease the risk of this project. As mentioned earlier, CJ recently invested in China and Vietnam, expecting it will meet the growing demand in China and South Asian markets. The important point is that the cost of them was much lower than 1 trillion won. New production facility in China cost only 38 billion won, and the new facility in Vietnam cost 100 billion won. Comparing the demand and market share of CJ in Asian market and Latin American European market, it is more rational to invest less than 1 trillion won, because less cost facilities would meet the demand of those markets. With these suggestions, CJ 제일제당 should wisely choose the amount of capital investment.
To understand CJ's operation system, we analogize 비비고 만두 because it represents CJ food products characteristics well. Processed food has a standardized and mass production system, thus has make-to-stock environments with efficient resource allocation and economies of scale. Based on the characteristics of make-to-stock environment and mass production, we concluded CJ's production system is an assembly line which has strength in standardized quality and cost reduction. With this manufacturing system, CJ manages its supply chain through various strategies. With the general strategies above, we analogize key strategies of CJ food supply chain in the domestic and international markets. IT management and automation could help eliminate meaningless cost and make demand forecasting precisely. Outsourcing makes CJ focus on its core activities. And M&A makes CJ be able to reduce their costs to expand their market, while cyber attacks, cultural differences, regulatory risk, and political risk is existing. Covering the whole production system and supply chain, environment and health safety issues are arising in terms of quality control. Raw material sourcing related to the climate change and stability of quality, food safety managing process for reducing defective products, and packaging issues. To deal with these issues, CJ should first apply a risk-hedging supply chain strategy by pooling and sharing of resources strategies. Second, continuous evaluating and modifying of SCM strategy should be done. And lastly, flexibility of the manufacturing system shall be acquired by outsourcing and expansion of module system.
Analyze CJ's main business at first. The conclusion is that CJ's business are currently well organized in a relevant way. CJ is doing great both at home and abroad. The domestic food business is leading the market with various product lines with the competitiveness of premium brands. The technology developed at CJ Blossom Park grants distinction to CJ's products. They are distributed through distribution channels in charge of CJ Logistics. In this way, the food, bio, and logistics industries create mutual synergy between each other and add stability and profitability to CJ's business portfolio. So, which direction should we move forward? Certainly, the overseas market is bigger than domestic market. To expand the business, the domestic food market, where CJ is currently doing well, can be used as a stable cash cow and a test bed for new products. Through funds secured in Korea, it can have the capacity to distribute products abroad. In addition, new products developed through R&D can be first released in Korea to receive market evaluation. The way bibigo mandu has been successful, other key products can be released. Meanwhile, the base of the bio business should be gradually expanded. In particular, the PHA business is very promising. However, as technological development does not lead directly to products, development without considering risk should be avoided.
Currently, CJ 제일제당's R&D is focusing on 4 major values: quality improvement, convenience, well-being, and sustainability. CJ have developed multiple technologies internally and externally to pursue these 4 values. In fact, CJ spent about $130 million on just R&D per year for past few years. So why does CJ invest huge amount of capital on R&D for the development of new technology? The concept of disruptive innovation may explain CJ's past actions. In the left-hand side of the slide, there's the disruptive innovation model. The blue arrow at the top shows the high end of the market that requires high performance of the product and is the most profitable. The blue arrow in the middle shows the mainstream that requires ordinary product performance, and the blue arrow in the bottom shows the low end of the market where the profitability is the lowest. As incumbents improve their products and services to satisfy their most demanding and profitable customers, they take less attention to developing new technologies at the low end of the market. This provides opportunities for smaller size companies, so-called disruptors in this case, to develop new technologies that meet the demand of low-end customers and the mainstream. So when mainstream customers start adopting the entrance offerings in volume, disruption occurs, threatening the incumbents of the market. Consequently, disruptive innovation will create new market and reshape the existing one. The new technologies and trends that could cause disruption in the food industry are alternative protein sources, nutraceutical and functional food, personalized nutritional solution, and 3D food printers. In order to defend its position from the disruptors, CJ should create its own disruption by developing new technologies and form strategic alliances with startups. Moving on, currently there is worldwide inflation going on that is affecting most industries all over the world. In order to overcome the ongoing turbulent market, CJ could practice 3 different actions. First, CJ should exercise risk hedging for its raw materials. Buying the raw materials before they further increase in price from inflation will save costs and also provide stable cash flow. Second, CJ should adjust promotional expenses on each distribution channel based on its profitability. CJ could reduce promotional expense on live commerce, which has the highest real commission rate, and increase the ratio in online malls to optimize the financial performance. Third, CJ should invest more on real assets. Value of inventory assets such as rice or facilities are less affected from the inflation. Investing CJ can increase the proportion of real assets by increasing inventory assets and facility investment. Food ingredients such as rice have a fairly long shelf life of about 6 months. So when the value of the purchase inventory does not change significantly, purchasing in advance can reduce the cost. So through these methods, CJ can survive in the current turbulent market caused by the global inflation.